All right. As we jump into this second section, the intermediate strategy section, I just want to throw out a quick disclaimer that Andrew and I are now feeling more comfortable with all of this equipment that we got for this course. So hopefully it's all smooth operating moving forward. The course is maybe getting better as it goes along. But we're here talking about the Amazon PPC food pyramid. And what we're going to do is we have 5 layers, 5 levels, and we're going to work our way from the bottom to the top. So essentially the way we're going to think about this pyramid is that if you have a very limited amount of time, where is that time best allocated in order to get you the most results? And so we're starting with the base. This is the most foundational part of Amazon PPC. And I'm actually kind of curious. I wish that there was a way to get some feedback, but I'm curious to hear what you guys think we're putting at the very base, very bottom layer of this pyramid. And it is product listing optimization. Product listing optimization. And you might be thinking, that's not PPC, and that's correct. The very bottom of the Amazon PPC food pyramid is a non-PPC item, because if you don't have a good product listing, no amount of work that you do on your PPC, doesn't matter if you have the best bidding algorithm, the best keyword management system, the most advanced campaign structure, none of that is going to save a bad product listing. So we told you guys that the prerequisites to this course were taking a few of those Amazon ad certifications. At the very minimum, if you've taken the Amazon ads retail certification, you know what Amazon's, like they say that for a product to be considered retail ready, you need at least 15 reviews, at least 4 stars, you need to have at least 5 images, all of these items. As the Amazon space becomes increasingly competitive, you might even need a lot more than that. But essentially, you really need to make sure that you have your SEO done, that you have your titles are well built for the keywords that you want to be pursuing. You also need to make sure you have disclaimers in your product. So if your product requires batteries and you don't have batteries, you have to be saying batteries not included. If you're selling wooden products or wooden doors, let's say, for example, and the wood is unfinished, you have to make sure you're stating that, because we've seen a lot of people have really bad return rates because they weren't clear in their products, what they were giving their customers. And so we run into issues there, and it destroys all of your PPC performance. So that's the very base of the pyramid, because everything else we're going to do on top of that, the whole entire goal of PPC is to drive relevant traffic to this product listing. That is our job as PPC managers. We're supposed to do our keyword research, all these things, set up these structures with the goal of driving the highest quality traffic to our listings, and then also managing how much we're paying for that traffic so that we're also staying within our profitability range. But that's the whole goal. It's just a traffic game, essentially. We're just trying to get the right people to the product. But if we don't have a good product, we're wasting our time. So that's the very bottom base. Then second level going up. When you actually are getting into the PPC side of things and you're limited on time, and there's one lever that you can pull to get the best performance out of your account, is going to be bidding. Now, some people may disagree with me on this. In fact, people do. There was a LinkedIn survey that was talking about what's more important, bidding or keyword management, and everybody said it was keyword management, and I was one of the few who said bidding. And I think the reason why is why other people weren't so excited to jump on bidding is because people don't know how to bid properly, or they're relying on automations that aren't really getting them those results, which is probably why they think it's not that important, because they haven't seen what results can be achieved if you know what you're doing. So bidding optimizations are absolutely going to be the core foundation of performance. Of course, everything matters, but we're here not saying nothing else matters, but we're just saying if there's only one thing you can do with limited time, and your objective is to drive sales while staying within a profitable range, bidding is going to be your best friend. It's the single best tool in your arsenal to manage the balance between staying competitive, staying visible, but also staying profitable. You can have all the best keywords in the world, like you're the master keyword researcher, and you only have relevant keywords, and that's the only thing that's going into your campaigns. But if you don't know how to bid properly, you can literally bankrupt a business, even on the best keywords, just by spending too much and spending more than the business can afford, and you take them completely out of business. So bidding is absolutely essential. And for us in particular, whenever we're taking on a new account as a managed service, one of the things that we guarantee them is that within 30 days, their business will be net more profitable enough to pay for our services, or we will not charge them. And that usually comes down exclusively to the bidding. And when we compare, and we usually do that after completing the campaign audit, and we look at everything, and that's the quickest, fastest thing that we know we can essentially guarantee those results, because we've looked at the bidding and we've seen things are a mess and breaking at almost everything in their system. And we realize if we just clean this up, they'll be net more profitable even after considering our expenses. So if you get bidding right, you can also begin making that same guarantee. And to date, we've never been able to not meet that guarantee, with the exception of, like, obviously if products are going out of stock or something and they're losing sales because of that, then that's a different issue. But, assuming that, the environment stays the same, the previous management, or I should say the performance under our management compared to the performance under previous management, bidding itself is enough to revolutionize an account. And that's why we hang our hats so closely on bidding in terms of considering its importance. Something else that I think might be worth considering is that if you do have bad keywords in your campaigns, a lot of times bidding is actually going to solve that for you, because if you have a good bidding system, it will reduce your bids on horrible performing keywords all the way down to 2 cents, which for most accounts is essentially pausing those keywords. So the bidding will effectively pause bad keywords for you, and any keyword that's doing well, it will generate those sales. And especially if you have a good mix of broad and phrase match and some auto campaigns that are doing research for you, increasing those bids on those good performers is also going to expand the reach through those wide targeting tactics. So that is why bidding is so important to us. Now, we will also be talking about bidding much more in depth in a couple, I think it's 2 lessons down the road or something like that. But we'll be going much more in depth around how to actually do that. So don't worry about the technicalities here. Right now, we're more just focused on the hierarchy. Going up one level higher, the next big pillar is targeting. So targeting, this is including, by the way, both keywords that you're bringing in or product targets that you're bringing in audiences, as well as negative targeting. So we're including both of those in there. So, you're digging through your search term reports, you're finding wasted spend, you're adding those as negative targets. All of that is going into targeting. So targeting is absolutely essential. And if anyone's wondering, like, well, isn't targeting, more valuable than bidding? Shouldn't we be putting that before? The reason why we don't is because there have been times, we have seen this with our own eyes, where there are accounts that are only auto campaigns, not a single manual campaign or a single manual target in the whole entire account. And it's just being run by Amazon essentially on auto control. And they do extremely well because the products just have a long history. They've developed good ranking. Amazon's indexed them. And that's certainly not ideal. We can certainly do a lot better than that. But the fact that there are those types of campaigns, or I should say those types of accounts, where the targeting is very rudimentary and they could still do well if the product listings are good, is part of why we do this. Because on the flip side, we've almost never seen an account that does have good targeting and does have good product listing and is butchering bidding and still does well. So that's the main reason. If a product has good products and good bidding, the targeting could just be a bunch of auto campaigns, and they could, it's not ideal, but they can survive and get away with it sometimes. A little bit of luck, I guess, involved there with just being indexed properly by Amazon and having that history. But that's the way in which we rank these in terms of the hierarchy. So we will talk more about the targeting as well. There's quite a bit that goes into that. So it absolutely can't be neglected. None of these items we're saying are something that's, just because it's one level higher doesn't mean you shouldn't be doing it. Everything you should be doing, absolutely. The next level up here is structure. Campaign structure, ad group structure. What this is trying to do for us, you've heard Andrew's lessons on campaign structure, so you should have a pretty good idea of why it's so important. But what this allows us to do is to control the levels of granularity and control within our account. It allows us to control the reporting, from aggregating data to segmenting out data so that we can have better insights, more insightful insights, to control the volume of spend around our account, to control the budgets, to, essentially do everything, right? Andrew used the example he was saying, like with the with a multi-product ad group, you only have that one kind of big lever to pull that's going to affect all the products within that one ad group. And then when you break it out to single product ad groups, now you can pull all those levers individually across those different products. So structure is obviously going to be important because it's going to allow you that better control to get out that better performance from your campaigns, as well as just getting out better data by allowing you to break data apart in a more detailed way. And on top of that, obviously, the campaign settings, the campaign budgets, all of that is going to be hugely impactful. But we still do put targeting and bidding as a couple steps above that, where if you're limited on time and you don't have time, if you're taking over an account and they say, hey, we need these results to improve by this week, that's not that's not the week you're going to focus on a big account restructure and try to reset and restart all the campaigns. You're mostly going to focus on bidding and targeting to get that account turned around on short time. So coming up to our final, the peak of the pyramid, we can call this, what should we call this? It's a little bit of a batch, but we will call it we'll say advanced tactics. Now, there is a lot that goes into that. When it comes to structure, I might even throw single keyword campaigns in as an advanced tactic. With structure, we mean more just like doing things right without getting too fancy about things. So from Andrew's lesson on that one. But getting into the advanced tactics, that's when folks are talking about a lot of other items such as day parting, which is essentially changing your bids depending on the hour of the day or the day of the week and setting up some automated systems that can do that for you. Some other examples would be A/B testing. You people like to split test their creative. So you're running two different creatives. You pause one and run one, and then you pause that one and run the other, and then compare the results to see if there was one that did better than the other. Getting into those hyper granular structures, hyper advanced tactics like single keyword campaigns. All of those tactics are important. Again, nothing is saying that you should. None of these are things that we're saying you shouldn't be doing. But if you start with those, if you think these advanced tactics are what's going to revolutionize your account, and if you make this become the foundation of the pyramid is going to crumble. So you need to build it from the base up and not from the top down. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how advanced your tactics are and how smart you think you are. If your product listing sucks and your bidding and targeting is all over the place, your PPC is not going to be great. So all of these are important. But on limited time, focus the time that you do have from the very base of this pyramid, and you should be working your way up. So if you're seeing that performance is really bad and you only have a couple of hours to work on this account to turn something around, obviously the first thing we want to be checking in on is the product listing. Make sure listings aren't saying that they're low on inventory or that a really negative review came around, because if any of that happened, that's going to hurt PPC from the whole base of the pyramid all the way up. So you do want to check on that first. Spend some time making sure your main image is good. We had a big debate with Stephen Pope on that one. Main images are important for click-through rates and conversion rates. But that's the most important thing before you really start focusing on the PPC. And then, again, I can't stress the importance of bidding. I'm excited to be getting into that. But if you are on a limited amount of time, you can very quickly download a bulk sheet, run through some important bid optimizations, and within 15 to 20 minutes, put in thousands and thousands of bid changes that instantly take an account from being not profitable, from ACoS soaring, to ACoS being right on target. So we'll show you how to do that. And then targeting, this is absolutely essential. Negative targeting for helping remove some wasted ad spend, but also adding in new targets to help expand the actual reach, bring more traffic in, grow those sales. Campaign structure is important because it's going to give us that granularity, those levels of control, as well as segmenting out our data so that we can have better targeting and all these other items once we have that structure set up. And then at the very end, after you've perfected everything else, you can add the sugar on top, the advanced tactics, and start throwing in a little, couple fanciful experiments, see how that work for you. Maybe those single keyword campaigns that focus on ranking actually do really well. The main thing there is we don't only want one single keyword campaign that's doing well when everything else is broken. So I hope this is helpful for you. I know for myself, this would be helpful when I was getting started, because when you see, you've got 100 different optimizations that you could do, this is really nice to just help focus your mind, gain some clarity around which tasks am I going to be working on first, or even which ones should I be working on getting better at first as well. So that is the Amazon PPC food pyramid, and we'll see you guys in the next lesson.